After the plane crash in the Tver region, which killed the head of Wagner PMC Yevgeny Prigozhin, bloggers and Telegram channels associated with him broke out in a series of revanchist publications.
Yevgeny Viktorovich Prigozhin died as a result of the actions of traitors to Russia. Let this be a lesson to all: you always have to go to the end. The assassination of Prigozhin would have catastrophic consequences. The people who gave the order do not understand the mood in the army and morale at all.
None of the authors of these angry messages names those responsible for Prigozhin's death. The anger itself is more likely caused by the loss of a sponsor, experts say. After all, now the financial flows that Prigozhin directed to control bloggers will dry up. In addition, Wagner no longer poses a serious threat to the Kremlin. Heavy weapons were handed over to the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation after an unsuccessful rebellion, and most of the mercenaries are abroad, working in Africa or in Belarus.
This is where Wagner's story ends, and those mercenaries who worked in this organizational structure of the special services will be offered to continue working in another structure, which is now mainly offered through organizations close to Shoigu. Therefore, I personally do not expect any riots, any unrest from Wagner.
Moreover, according to British intelligence, the Wagner PMC was left without leadership. On board of the crashed plane, in addition to Prigozhin himself, there was a field commander and one of creators of the group, Dmitry Utkin, as well as the head of the logistics department, Valery Chekalov.
The demise of Prigozhin would almost certainly have a deeply destabilizing effect on the Wagner group. His personal attributes of hyperactivity, exceptional audacity, a drive for results and extreme brutality permitted Wagner and are unlikely to be matched by any successor, from the message of the British Ministry of Defense. Now Wagner is completely beheaded, and the likelihood that, even out of revenge, some units of the Wagner PMC will go to Moscow, for example, or will try to carry out some kind of terrorist attacks on the territory of the Russian Federation, well, to do some bad things, it tends to zero. It tends to zero simply because there is no organizing principle, and the organizing principle is very important in such cases.
As for the Wagner mercenaries who are in Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko commented on recent reports about the disbanding of the field camp and the return of mercenaries to Russia. According to him, the backbone of the group, 10,000 people, will remain in Belarus. Experts doubt that this force will be used for Wagner's revenge in the Russian Federation. Rather, Lukashenko will defend his economic interest in Africa with their help and use the militants as instructors to train his own armed formations.
Obviously, some part will accept an offer from the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation in order to join the ranks of the Russian army. Some part perhaps will remain in Belarus in order to switch to some kind of peaceful life there, if they succeed. Well, some will quit and look for happiness in other structures that need the services of such people. Belarus has nothing to offer, well, except for some, so to speak, tasks related to their army.
However, a campaign against Moscow can still take place, though under different banners. Thus, the leadership of the Russian Volunteer Corps called on the militants of the Wagner PMC who had not committed war crimes in Ukraine to join their ranks in order to further overthrow the power in Russia by force. Reported by Diana Kolesnik, Vasil Panasiuk, UATV News.